Welcome to today's presentation on the operational framework for reclassification of foreign portfolio investment to foreign direct investment. This framework is based on the Reserve Bank of India circular dated November 11, 2024 under the FEMA Non-Debt Instrument Rules 2019. Background and RBI oversight. Let's begin by understanding the regulatory context. The Reserve Bank of India closely monitors all foreign investments coming into India. As part of this oversight mechanism, foreign portfolio investors, commonly known as FPIs, and authorized dealer banks must regularly report their investments to the RBI. It is important to note that any breach of FEMA provisions attracts penalties. To address situations where FPIs exceed their investment limits, the RBI has issued a new operational framework specially for reclassifying FPI investments to FDI. This framework provides clarity and a structured process for compliance. Investment threshold for FPIs. Now let's discuss the critical investment threshold that triggers this reclassification requirement. As per Schedule 2 of the FEMA Non-Debt Instrument Rules 2019, a foreign portfolio investor along with its investor group can invest less than 10% in an Indian company. This limit is calculated on a fully diluted equity capital basis, which means it includes all potential shares that could be issued through convertible instruments like warrants, options, or convertible bonds. If an FPI breaches this 10% threshold, it triggers regulatory action and the investor must take immediate steps to address the breach. What happens if FPI crosses 10%? So what are the options available when an FPI crosses the 10% threshold? The FPI has two clear options to choose from. Option 1. Divest the excess holding. The FPI must sell the shares that exceed the 10% limit within 5 trading days from the settlement date. This allows the investor to return to compliance quickly. Option 2. Reclassify the investment as FDI. If the FPI chooses this route, it's important to understand that the entire holding will be treated as foreign direct investment, not just the excess portion. Once this reclassification happens, the FPI cannot make any further portfolio investments in that particular company. The relationship changes permanently from a portfolio investor to a direct investor. Key differences FDI versus FPI. Before we proceed with the reclassification process, let's understand the fundamental differences between FDI and FPI. FDI is characterized by three main features. First, it represents a long-term investment commitment. Second, the investor has the intent to gain control and management influence in the company. And third, FDI is governed by sectoral caps and entry routes as prescribed by the government. On the other hand, foreign portfolio investment is quite different. FPI represents short to medium term investment with the primary objective of earning market-linked returns. Importantly, portfolio investors have no intent to control or manage the entity they invest in. They are purely financial investors. Understanding this distinction is crucial because when you reclassify from FPI to FDI, you're fundamentally changing the nature of your investment and the regulatory framework that applies to it. Step 1. Approvals and concurrence. Now let's walk through the reclassification process. Step 1 is obtaining approvals and concurrence, and this must happen before the FPI crosses the 10% threshold. The FPI must obtain government approvals if applicable to the sector in which the company operates. Different sectors have different FDI policies and some may require prior government approval. The investment must comply with the FDI entry route and sectoral caps applicable to that particular industry. For example, some sectors allow FDI only through the government approval route, while others permit automatic route investments. Critically, the FPI must obtain concurrence from the Indian investee company. The company must agree to this reclassification as it changes the nature of the shareholding. One important restriction: reclassification is not permitted in prohibited sectors. If the sector doesn't allow FDI at all, then reclassification cannot take place and the only option is to divest. Step 2. Custodian and freeze. Step 2 involves working with the custodian and implementing a freeze on further purchases. The FPI must inform its custodian of its intent to reclassify the investment along with the notification. The FPI must submit all the approvals obtained in Step 1 as well as the company's concurrence. Once the custodian receives this information, they must immediately freeze any other further purchases of shares in that company by the FPI. This freeze is essential to prevent the holding from increasing further during the reclassification process. This freeze continues until the reclassification is fully completed and all reporting requirements have been fulfilled. This ensures that the holding remains stable during the transition period. Reporting requirements. Step 3 covers the mandatory reporting requirements. There are 3 key forms that must be filed. First, Form FCGPR, which must be filed by the Indian company receiving the investment. This form reports the capital receipt under the FDI route. Second, Form FCTRS must be filed by the foreign portfolio investor. This form transfers the reporting responsibility from the portfolio investment framework to the direct investment framework. Third, Form LEC FII must be filed by the authorized dealer bank. This form confirms the transaction and maintains the regulatory trail. All these reporting requirements must be completed within the prescribed timeline specified by the RBI. Delays in reporting can lead to compliance issues and potential penalties. Completion and key takeaways. Now let's discuss what happens upon completion and the key takeaways you must remember. Once the process is complete, the equity shares are physically removed from the FPI demat account to an FDI demat account. This represents the technical completion of the reclassification. An important point to note, the date of breach is treated as the date of reclassification for all regulatory purposes. This determines timelines for reporting and other compliance requirements. Here is a critical point that many investors miss. Once reclassified, the entire holding is permanently treated as FDI. Even if the stake later falls below 10% due to dilution or partial sale, it remains FDI. You cannot convert it back to FPI. This is a one-way street. Finally, non-compliance with this framework has serious consequences. If the FPI does not follow the prescribed process, it will face compulsory divestment of the holdings and FEMA enforcement action may be initiated, which can include penalties and other legal consequences. Contact us. Thank you for your attention. If you need any assistance with FPI to FDI reclassification or have any questions about this framework, please feel free to reach out to us. You can visit our office at flat number 402, 4th floor, Rama Complex, opposite Couple Complex near Nexus Mall, KPHP 6th phase, KPHP Colony, Hyderabad 500085 Telangana. For immediate assistance, please call us at 9933385556. You can also visit our website at www.femabyte.com for more information and resources. Thank you once again, and we look forward to assisting you with your foreign exchange and investment compliance needs.